Call to order of a meeting, the Goodyear City Council, 22 September 2008. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation by Councilmember Cavalier.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing if you wish for our prayer. Heavenly Father, please bring relief to the cities and businesses during these months of economic instability. We pray that the council of our fine city can make positive impact on the city and the citizens as we, in our communities, as we make our as we go through our council agenda here tonight. Give us the strength to guide the city forward toward a better way of life. Protect our police and fire officers as they perform their duties. Bring our staff together and protect them as they work toward the betterment of our city and its citizens. Our blessings go to Councilmember Souza as he is at home rehabilitating from his illness, and please watch over him at this time. Protect our loved ones in foreign lands and bring them home safely. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. We have 6 of our members of council here this evening. Councilmember Souza was in the hospital over the weekend. He is, however, recovering, as Frank commented. And can I have a vote to excuse him from this particular session?
So moved.
I have a motion from Councilmember Lord and a second from Vice Mayor Antoniak. Roll call on that, please.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Antoniak?
Aye.
Councilmember Lord?
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne?
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh?
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Now move to approve.
I'm going to recuse myself. HDR Engineering shows up on the expenditure report again, so
Okay.
I'm not going to vote on
All
this
right.
one.
So we're at expenditures right now, and our mission is to approve and ratify them. And Vice Mayor Antoniak has recused himself from this particular item. Any comments on the expenditures for the month of August?
Mayor, I have one question. Not sure who to ask, I guess finance possibly. But I was kind of thumbing through here, and there was roughly $105,000 spent on cell phone and telephone charges. And I would love to see some kind of, is that normal monthly telephone charges? Or was something new to that? So I know nobody can answer that probably right off.
What we will do, Mr. Mayor and Ms. Osborne, is give you a detailed report of cell phones and telecommunication charges and what they total. But we can't answer that, right?
No, I know you can't, but that's I'm just
But
asking
we will
for
follow
that.
up on that.
Just was a lot, and that I wondered if that was normal. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you still want to move to approve the expenditures?
Yes.
Okay, and all right, all those in favor of approving the expenditures. Oh, did I get a motion on that?
No.
No.
So moved. Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by stating aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it unanimously. And Vice Mayor Antoniak is returning. We'll now move to communication. We're going to start with Brandon Husky. Brandon is going to introduce a fire official visiting Arizona from Poland.
You can stay seated or stand up. It's up to you. Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and Council. I'm filling in for Chief Bishop. He became sick today, so I'm here to introduce to you Patricia Rusik from Warsaw, Poland. She's here on an exchange program. She's our 4th fire officer exchange student. We've sent one of our officers 2 summers ago, I believe, Captain Nick Lyons, went and spent 2 weeks with them, I believe, or a month, I can't remember. But the program's been really beneficial. She's been in school for 3 years, and she's going to graduate next May.
Yes.
And she'll graduate out as a captain in the fire service. Her father, I don't know what rank your father is.
Just
normal firefighter.
firefighter and a career firefighter in Poland as well. And she's been with us 2.5, 3 weeks now. She'll be here until the end of the month, and she rides on the trucks and goes to various functions and is exposed to the way we do it. So it's been a real beneficial program for us and hopefully for her.
Yes.
Would you like to comment, or?
To say something, I just want to thank everybody in Arizona that give me the possibility to come here. This is a very big opportunity for all of the students from Poland, because we can broaden our mind, and we learn a lot of useful information which can we use in our future job in Poland. Learn and later on take it with us. All this kind of stuff to Poland. So it was a very good experience for all of us. And I hope that in the next year another student from Poland will be able to come to America and see all these things I'm able to see it now.
Well, thank you. And,
thank you one more
it's
time.
a joy to have you with us, and you're certainly welcome to this country anytime in this city, and we hope others follow you.
Thank you very much.
Could we ask what city in
Thank
Poland
you.
she's from, just out of curiosity?
From which city?
Which city in Poland?
Now I'm studying in Warsaw, but I'm from south of the Poland. It's Bielsko-Biała. It's very difficult to pronounce, so I never asked somebody to pronounce it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
So
you
you
very
came in
much.
a good year because everybody can pronounce it.
It's-
But welcome, and thank you for coming. Thank you, Brandon. Thanks, Mike. Okay, now we're going to, Betsy Rice will present the mayor's Dollar Wise campaign. Betsy.
If I could have Elmo, please. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. It's my pleasure to be here tonight to share with you some information about the National Mayor's Dollar Wise campaign. In an effort to help our citizens' economic situation during these uncertain times, Mayor Kavanaugh has joined mayors from across the country in a national effort to offer free financial education classes to our citizens so that they can become more financially stable. With improved basic personal money management and planning skills, citizens will be in a better position to own homes, raise healthy families, educate their children, and invest in small businesses. The Office of the Mayor and Council has been working closely with Patty Evans and her Community Services Department to develop a series of 4 classes to be presented by Credit Union West, a not-for-profit organization that serves the West Valley. These classes will be offered free of charge to both citizens and employees. We are also pleased to announce that Credit Union West has donated these classes to the city as a community service. There will be no selling or advertising from Credit Union West during these sessions. These classes will be held on Wednesday evenings this fall from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at Goodyear City Hall. We are also pleased to announce that these classes will be videotaped and placed on the city's website at a future date so that many more citizens can enjoy them. We believe that this is the first time that the city has offered a class of this type online. Classes that will be offered include Understanding Your Credit Score, that will be on October 15th, Identity Theft Protection on October 22nd, Attaining Financial Freedom via Budgeting on October 29th, and Teaching Kids About Money on November 5th. And a special note on that November 5th class, we are going to encourage parents to bring their children along to that class. Citizens can register for these classes by signing up online via the Credit Union West website at www.cuwest.org or by calling the city at 623-882-7808. I'd also like to take this opportunity to invite members of the council to come visit us at any of these classes. We'd be more than glad to see you there. It would be a wonderful show of support for our citizens if you could make it and show support. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have at this time about the U.S. Mayor's National Dollar Wise campaign or the classes that we're offering.
Any questions?
That's a great idea.
Any questions from the public? Okay, thanks, Betsy.
Thank you.
Okay, now opportunity for citizens who would like to address the city council on any item not on this evening's agenda. Any comments
Mayor,
on the non-agenda item? Yes, ma'am.
I have a Michael Charter.
Okay. Welcome. And Michael, try to limit it to 3 minutes, and we ask you
I'll
to
try.
give your name and address.
What's my address? My name is Michael Charter. It's 501 North 37th Drive in Phoenix. I have a couple of letters, and I'm going to read them real fast if I could, but I also have copies that y'all can have hard copies of them. This is a letter from Regency Center, and it's addressed to the Department of Zoning and Planning, and I received it today, and it's going out. This letter serves as a humble request to retain the recycling program that is currently in place on our property at Palm Valley Marketplace, located at 14175 West Indian School Bypass. I'm the senior property manager for all Regency Center's properties in Arizona and Colorado. We've been affiliated with Mike Charter and the Weldon House for many years. We have been continuous sponsors of the program since we purchased the property in fall of 2000. My experience with Mike's service has been impeccable. Not only do they provide great service for the units, they respond immediately, but also keep us informed of any issues we should be aware of relating to the property. It has been brought to our attention that recycling bins on our property have been removed due to a city ordinance. As a property manager of 24 grocery-anchored retail shopping centers, I understand and share the motives behind your action. However, Regency Centers, as a publicly traded real estate investment trust, are charged to maintain all of our centers with first-class standards. We are proactive in assuring the aesthetics of this program we have allowed. Weldon House was developed to improve the chances for women with children who experience a multitude of barriers that make it difficult for them to leave abusive relationships, sustain recovery from drug addiction, alcoholism, obtain adequate housing, and obtain employment that provides a livable wage. Due to lack of life skills, minimal, no employment skills, history of abusive, controlling relationships, and dependency on drugs and alcohol, these women also have low esteem and lack of confidence to improve the quality of their lives for themselves and their children. We hope that you reconsider your decision, and we truly believe in the Weldon House cause and the phenomenal service they provide to the community. We appreciate your time and consideration. You may contact me directly at his phone number and his email address if you have any questions or comments. What's basically happened is, I think a lot of people know about these recycling bins that are around. They're around the valley, they're around here, and we've been on that property for a long time without any incidences. In fact, we've reported things to them that they needed to know about, and apparently someone of another organization complained about it, and then we were called, these recycling units are now being termed as, the technical term was, well, they're being called outdoor storage areas. And when we went down, I went down last week and I talked to zoning and I talked to enforcement, and they basically, and I said, it's not a storage unit, it's where people deposit donations and they're removed. And they said, well, the minute someone puts something in there, it's a storage unit. Well, my response was, if you have a soda machine and you put sodas in it, then it becomes a soda storage unit and should come under the same guidelines. I wrote a real quick letter, and I'll read it real fast, and then I can show you some pictures behind zoning where you have dumpsters that are not to code and not screened correctly, in front of zoning where you have it, and right across from City Hall behind Fry's you have unscreened dumpsters, and these are unsightly. Our unit's not unsightly in any way, shape, or form. But anyhow, my name's Mike Charter. I help recycle and raise funds for the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, Greater Phoenix, and Weldon House, their project. We accomplished this through strategic placement of small 4-foot by 4-foot 4-inch fire containment vandal-proof units where the public donates their reusable items to help Weldon House. Not only do we service the units regularly, but we also observe the property and notify property owners and managers of any issues we notice that would be that they should be aware of relating to the property. Additionally, the units carry $3 million in liability insurance to protect all parties. In the world we live in today, I'm sure all of us would find it utterly appalling that any progressive community, or any community for that matter, would go to lengths to eliminate any program that reduces their overburdened solid waste services and provides much-needed programs for the community at no cost. Your citizens have enthusiastically supported such a program, which was located at the Palm Valley Marketplace through the generosity of Regency Centers. This one location out of all the locations in the entire valley was the third highest producing location due to the generous support of the citizens of Goodyear. We understand that another organization who was unable to obtain locations for their units complained and forced the city to, quote, enforce what is believed to be a zoning ordinance against such units. I'm told that the ordinance which was used to have the recyclers removed from the corner of Indian School and Litchfield Park was zoning ordinance as revised December 2006, Section 336B7A, and I quote, "Screening standards shall be observed as follows. All outdoor storage areas for materials, trash, equipment, vehicles, or other similar items shall be screened from view along street frontages bolded by a 6-foot wall constructed of slump block, brick, or masonry with stucco or mortar wash finish designed to match the main building on the site," end quote. The first issue is that the zoning...
Michael, we got to cut it. It's a minute over, I think, already, and we give everybody the same amount of time. Why don't you provide that to our city manager, and he'll report back to the council? Is
That's
that
fine. I have
acceptable?
copies of, your councilors would like copies as well.
Mayor,
Yeah.
I'm already checking into it because I became aware of this issue last week, so.
Okay.
we're
I
already
went and
checking.
saw them last week.
So he'll take your input, and he'll report back to us. Is that acceptable?
That's fine. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I appreciate the pictures. We don't have time to get to. Do we have any other further comments from the public? I just have two quick ones. I wanted to welcome Garrett Newland back. Garrett's been missing for a couple of months from our fold, so welcome back, Garrett. And also announced that I will not be seeking re-election to mayor in the 2009 election cycle. So I'll now move to consent agenda, and I'll ask the city clerk to read consent items A through F by title only.
Item A, approve draft minutes of a work session and a regular meeting held on August 25th, 2008. Item B, adopt Resolution 08-1254, declaring as a public record that certain document filed with the city clerk and entitled Articles 3-4 through 3-6 of Chapter 3 of the Goodyear City Code, procurement dated September 22nd, 2008, and providing for an effective date. Adopt Resolution 08-1255, establishing an expenditure authorization for the city manager to approve non-budgeted expenditures on behalf of the City of Goodyear, establishing a limit for budgeted items to obtain council approval before the issuance of a purchase order, change order, or notice to proceed, and providing an effective date. Adopt Ordinance 08-1137, amending provisions of Chapter 3 of the Goodyear City Code to replace Articles 3-4 through 3-6 and to provide for comprehensive procurement and materials management code provisions and an effective date. Item C, authorize staff to negotiate and execute rental contracts for the ballpark and recreational complex. Item D, approve a contract with Carollo Engineers, P.C., not to exceed the amount of $35,000 to provide consulting services to help staff evaluate the Central Arizona Project water treatment, bulk water delivery, and water wheeling agreement with Arizona American Water Company and the Maricopa Water District. Item E, authorize the city manager to execute an agreement between the city and the Central Arizona Water Conservation District for replenishment services provided by the Central Arizona Groundwater Replenishment District. Item F, adopt Resolution 08-1256 in support of the state of Arizona's legal action to protect Luke Air Force Base against further encroachment approved by Maricopa County.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone in the public wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Anyone on council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Councilmember Cavalier.
Yes, Mayor, if I may, I'd like to remove item 7C, ballpark and recreation complex rental pricing. And I'd like to explain why I'm recusing myself on all ballpark items that come before the council, and that is for the sole purpose of the fact that my wife works for Civica LLC, and it is the mother corporation of her Civica Ventures organization that she works for. We have in no way any investment or have anything to do with the ballpark directly, but it's through the Civica development that I feel there's a conflict of interest because my wife works for that company. Even though now the city has taken over the management of the ballpark construction, there's still, with this still unsettled, there still might be a possibility of conflict of interest. So therefore, I will be asking the council that I will be recusing myself.
Okay, just let's do the other ones before you leave.
Okay.
Any other exemption, or exception, I should say. Okay, could I then have a motion to approve consent agenda items A, B, D, E, F?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Cavalier and a second from Councilmember Lord. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Antoniak.
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye.
Councilmember Lord.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Okay, Frank. Councilmember Cavalier is recusing himself from 7C. Could I have a motion to approve 7C?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Holland, a second from Vice Mayor Antoniak. I think I don't need a roll call vote on this one, correct? All those in favor signify by stating aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously, 5-0. And as we move to business, Councilmember Cavalier is returning to the dais. And we'll start with 8A, Memorandum of Agreement between the City of Goodyear and Lipsco. And Sean Bradford will present.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I'd just like to talk briefly about a proposal for an agreement between the City of Goodyear and the Litchfield Park Service Company for temporary wastewater capacity to service some of their service territory. In the audience tonight is Garrett Newland from Westcor and Greg Sorensen from Lipsco, and they will be available for any comments, and I believe Garrett's going to come up and say a few words here at the end of my presentation. What I wanted to talk about is the City of Goodyear was approached by Westcor and Lipsco, and we've entered into discussions on leasing on a temporary basis some of the capacity that we have at the 157th Water Reclamation Facility to provide them, I guess, redundant or backup service for the mall property. And that's the area that's highlighted in yellow in the presentation. So it's not to provide service to all of Westcor's holdings or to a larger section of the Lipsco development, but that was for the benefit of the mall. We want to be able to keep that mall on schedule, and this is going to help us afford that opportunity. It's in their service territory. At full build-out, the mall and the power centers are going to have a flow of approximately 650,000 gallons per day. The reason why Lipsco and Westcor approached the city on some interim assistance is that the mall will be serviced, at this point contemplated, it'll be an expansion of the existing Palm Valley Water Reclamation Facility. The Palm Valley Water Reclamation Facility is a 4 MGD plant today. It's running at about 3.4, 3.5 million gallons per day. So as it sits here today, there is enough capacity to service the mall. The problem is that there's other commitments that they have, just like there's commitments that we have as a utility for other development to occur and to flow into that facility. The plant is permitted for 8 MGD. It's 4.1 today. It's permitted for 8.2 per their MAG 208 permit. They're planning a 1 MGD expansion of their existing facility to take it from 4.1 to approximately 5.1. The temporary agreement is needed, obviously, to ensure that the mall does open in fall of 2010. And some of the concerns that the parties have were there could be regulatory requirements as it associates with their 1 MGD expansion. And then there's also going to be some compliance guidelines that the city has set in place when the Litchfield Park Service Company was established that we want to make sure is incorporated into their design. So just we want to ensure that, we've as a city have authorized a 150-foot odor easement, which is non-traditional. We just want to make sure that whatever they do there will comply with those requirements. We're supportive on a staff level. We're supportive of an expansion. They have permitting to do that. I think we just want to make sure that whatever they do plan will fit with the end users that live around that facility and do not cause any problems. So for those reasons, we felt it was in our best interest as a three-party kind of agreement that we do lease them some capacity if they need it. It's not planned on. It's just purely redundancy, backup supply. The first phase of the facility, when you open up the mall and the power center, is going to be 200,000 to 300,000 gallons per day. So that's what the city has agreed to lease if needed. Again, it's not contemplated that they will need it, but in order to ensure that the mall does open, the parties felt that it was in everyone's best interest that they have a backup option. The lease is for 300,000 gallons per day. The flow will only come from the Westcor development. We're not going to transfer flows from other sections in the Litchfield Park Service territory. Staff felt very strongly on this issue. We're willing to lend assistance, but it's for the mutual benefit of the city and it's the regional mall. Obviously, the City Council is very aware of the regional mall and its significance. It's essentially an economic engine that we need to get started as quickly as possible, and this lease agreement will afford us that opportunity. It is for 36 months, the term of the lease. The city does have the right to terminate with notice. So in the event that the city's obligations and our obligations to service conflict with a temporary lease agreement, it would give Lipsco enough time to find other resources, either accelerate additional plant expansions, or they have plans for, at some point, another facility at Saraville and McDowell that they could construct. They've received permitting per their 208 to do that. So we wanted to make sure that we left us the opportunity or the option that if our needs are greater, that we can terminate the lease. It is tied, the lease is tied to a fall opening 2010. If the mall would be delayed for whatever reason and it would open in 2013, we didn't want to have the city be obligated at that point for 36 months of wastewater capacity. So again, these things, I just protect all parties. If used and if utilized, Lipsco will pay the commercial rate that's currently in place at the time of the lease. So if we weren't able to pull this trigger and it wasn't needed until 2012 and they only needed it for 12 months, they would pay the prevailing rate in 2012. So again, the city didn't lock itself in. We will get full cost recovery on our expenses, and Lipsco has agreed to pay those as well. The lease agreement does contain a provision that would allow Lipsco, if they so choose, to build permanent capacity at the 157th wastewater treatment plant. The current site plan, as laid out by our engineers, could afford us the opportunity to build 22 million gallons of treatment. The great thing about the 157th plant site is it is it's been zoned and entitled, and the uses around that, there's a lot of city-owned property. We've got the river, and we've got the BID canal to the south. So it's very conducive to have a large regional wastewater treatment plant where you won't have a lot of neighbors that will have incompatible uses. Based off of our utility master plan that was just recently completed, our full build-out within the central planning area is somewhere between 15 to 17 million gallons a day. So we have, if needed, we could build excess capacity at the 157th. We have the physical land necessary. So if Lipsco were to choose that option, they would pay full costs of that expansion. We would control the asset. It's just another phase of the facility that's currently there and now. They would pay all the capital and O&M costs. We'd control that asset. And again, given our build-out demands, we have somewhere between 4 to 7 MGD of additional capacity that could be utilized. The lease agreement calls for 2 MGD. So again, just to give everyone another option. With that, it is a brief presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And I do have a site plan if you wanted to see what the 157th looks like. I could throw that up on the screen as well.
Garrett, did you want to speak? And is Lipsco also wishing to speak? Okay.
Thanks, Mayor, Council. Thanks, Sean. Just wanted to come forward and thank the Mayor and Council again for all the support and the great partnership that we've received. I can honestly say it's not as good as it is in Goodyear. The partnership has been great. Your staff is incredible. John, Brian, Sean, Jim, they've just really gone out of their way to work with us and help us. What this MOA, this Memorandum of Agreement, really does is provide a backup. We think we've reached an agreement with Lipsco to allow us to move forward, and this provides some temporary service and backup to allow us again to open. We're not wastewater experts, obviously, but we know that those flows have to go somewhere when we open our projects. So just want to thank the Mayor and Council again for the consideration.
Thank you for your assistance and openness.
Mayor and Council, Greg Sorensen on behalf of Lipsco. I'd like to echo Mr. Newland's and Sean's comments. We all have the interest of having them all open in 2010 on time. Lipsco wants to be part of that arrangement. We appreciate the city and the council looking into this provision of a safety net, as Mr. Newland said. We don't envision that we'll ever actually have to put sewage through these through this connection or to the plant under these circumstances, but it's always good to have a backup plan in place. We appreciate your open-mindedness towards that, and certainly willing to answer any questions that you may have.
No, thank you. Thank you for your activities and actions also in this regard.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, opportunity for the public. Any comments from the public? Okay, could I then have a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement?
I move we approve the amendment. Agreement.
Motion from Councilmember Lord and a second from Vice Mayor Antoniak. It's open for discussion. Councilmember Holland?
A word you kept using was we would control the expansion if it had to be built. We will own that expansion?
Yes.
Okay, we would own it. Has there been any talk about any issues having to do with the water, providing water to that particular area?
No, it's my understanding, and staff's position is that there's existing agreements between Westco and Lipscomb for the water services, and that's not at issue.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Osborne, you look like you might have a question.
Go ahead. Well, I don't think I was on council when the mall originally. I remember it going through P&Z, but not at this point. So when there was the issue of there could be regulatory requirements, there could be guidelines. Well, how many years ago did we come through the process of bringing on the mall? I don't understand why there could be this and there could be that. It seemed like those questions should have been answered a year or two ago. So that's why I sit here a little dumbfounded, because I don't understand what's taking so long. So, not on the mall's issue, but Lipscomb, if they had said at the very beginning, yes, we can service this area, and now there continually seems to be these questions, that's why Thank you, Sean.
It's a very good question, Councilmember Osborne. If Lipscomb would like to respond, they're more than welcome to.
Sean, you're not very anxious to put words in anybody's mouth.
No, sir.
He's behind.
Mayor and Councilman Osborne, to address your question, the parties have had an agreement, and some of the terms of that agreement have been in dispute or having a difference of opinion regarding certain mechanisms within the agreement as far as responsibilities, obligations, et cetera. As part of the settlement discussions we've gone through over the past 11 months, both parties using best efforts to try and resolve those issues. It took us to this time to do so. And as far as the if or when, we have a permit ready to file with ADEQ with regards to the expansion to clear the path for that. We don't believe that settlement at this juncture will cause us any delay problems, cause us to not be ready for the mall. But this MOA that we're asking the council to approve will just provide that just in case safety net on the small degree of chance that something does go unplanned.
Okay.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion to approve the MOA signify by stating aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job. It wasn't easy. John, same. Okay, now we'll move to the next four items, and they're all related to the Lufthansa annexation. Katie Wilkin will present all four items, and then council will take action on each item separately. After the presentation, the public will be invited to comment on any of the four items. So after Katie presents, then the public will be asked if they have any comments. Okay?
Thank you, Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council. As you know, staff has received a request from Earl Curley and Lagarde on behalf of Lufthansa German Airlines to annex 1,020 acres of land in the Sonoran Valley area. The property is located north of the Butterfield landfill, east of the Sonoran Desert National Monument, and south of the large area of BLM land in the Sonoran Valley area. This specific request includes the Lufthansa training facility, which I highlighted in yellow, BLM land, which I highlighted in green, and four private property owners, which I highlighted in blue. The 4 private property owners are being included so as not to create a county island. At the May 19th council meeting, council authorized staff to move forward with the annexation, and the blank petition and map was filed with the county recorder on June 23rd. State statute requires a 30-day waiting period upon filing before signatures can be collected. During the last 10 days of that 30-day waiting period, the city must conduct a public hearing to receive comment on the proposed annexation. This public hearing was held on July 14th, and no comment was received. The 30-day waiting period ended on July 22nd. Annexation must meet two tests. The property owner signing the annexation petition must represent both 51% of the total property owners and 51% of total valuation. Four out of the 5 property owners have signed the annexation petition, which meets the 51% test. The 5th owner has not signed the annexation petition, but he has also not objected to the annexation. Since Lufthansa's property is the only developed property being annexed, it alone represents the majority of assessed valuation. So the annexation does meet both tests. Along with the annexation request, the city is also considering entering into a pre-annexation development agreement with Lufthansa German Airlines. The development agreement includes provisions to allow the airport use to continue uninterrupted during the pendency of the annexation, rezoning, and special use process. Also, the city acknowledges that Lufthansa does have plans to build a second runway. However, expansion of this runway will require an amendment to the special use application and approval by council. The city has no obligation to extend utilities to the property, improve any roads within the property, or make any on-site or off-site infrastructure improvements. The county zoning for this property is Rural 190, and Lufthansa has a special use permit with the county to operate the air training facility. The City of Goodyear zoning ordinance requires that airfields be located in an industrial zoning district and have an approved special use permit to operate. At the time of annexation, the city must designate comparable zoning to that of the county and cannot designate a zoning district that has a higher intensity than that of the county zoning district. The agricultural zoning district most closely resembles the county's Rural 190 zoning district, and therefore the full 1,020 acres will be zoned agricultural with the annexation ordinance if it passes. Lufthansa is requesting a rezoning from that agricultural zoning district to the light industrial or I-1 zoning district, as well as approval of a special use to operate the airfield for the Lufthansa air training facility. The 4 private property owners and BLM land would remain in the agricultural zoning district. The property is designated airport by the general plan, and surrounding land uses include light industrial and open space, so the rezoning and special use requests are consistent with the existing and planned land uses. Since this is an existing use, it is a unique rezone and special use than we usually see. Since annexation of the Sonoran Valley area, the city has not received any complaint or concern on the operation of the air training facility. Staff did receive one comment on the rezone and special use from Bob Dusky of Luke Air Force Base. His concern was that the rezone and special use could be changing the type of aircraft or flight patterns that Lufthansa utilizes, and it is not. Staff relayed this to Mr. Dusky. Staff also informed Mr. Dusky of Lufthansa's possible plans to add a second runway, but that would have to go through the public hearing process again, and Mr. Dusky requested that he be notified when that would happen so that Luke Air Force Base could review the application and comment, and staff assured him that Luke Air Force Base would be notified, and staff also passed this along to the applicant. Mr. Dusky had no objection to any of the applications, and no other comments have been received on any of the 4 applications. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on the rezoning and special use applications on August 20th. No public comment was received at that meeting, and the Commission recommended approval of the rezone and special use. Staff recommends approval of the pre-annexation development agreement, annexation ordinance, rezoning ordinance, and the special use application. And staff is available for any questions, and there are also representatives of the owner if you have any questions for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Opportunity for the applicant?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, for your record, Scott McCoy, Earl Curley and Lagarde, 3101 North Central. You know, Katie's been very thorough. You've heard from me before, and nothing's really changed. We're here before you this evening, hopefully, to wrap everything up. We appreciate your consideration. Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. All right. Opportunity now for comments from the public. And again, these are on 4 separate questions or proposals, all related to the air training facility owned by Lufthansa. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go through each one individually now with the council. First item is to consider adoption of a resolution approving a pre-annexation development agreement with Lufthansa German Airlines. And ask the clerk to read the resolution 08-1253, please.
Adopt Resolution 08-1253, approving a pre-annexation development agreement with Lufthansa German Airlines, Inc., a foreign corporation, regarding the infrastructure requirements, services, and facilities to facilitate the annexation of 455.25 acres generally located at the 99th Avenue and Algonquin Road alignments, and providing for an effective date.
Could I have a motion?
I move we adopt Resolution 08-1253 as read by the city clerk.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Lord and a second from Councilmember Holland. It's open for discussion.
I had a question.
Councilmember Osborne.
Thank you. I had a question that I believe Mr. Kraus has an answer for. I understand that with the annexation, there doesn't seem to be an issue with the fire and police services. My question had to do with the trash that we would be now responsible to help them with, because they would be paying for city services. And the question I had was the street that isn't fully paved, that these trash trucks would have to go down, and now we go into VM10 issue. So that was my question.
Thank you, Councilmember Osborne. Actually, there's only one employee that's consistently at the site. The other people who use the site are flying in and flying right out, so there is a minimal amount of trash that is produced on the site, and I understand that they just take that over to Waste Management themselves since they're right next door. And so we will not be providing trash service to them, and they aren't utilizing a private trash service at this time.
But won't we still be charging them? So they may request, even though it's one person?
Well,
that's
we wouldn't be charging them until they would sign up for water service. They currently utilize a private well, and unless they sign up for trash service, they won't pay for it. We've been working with the residents to sign up for trash service separately from their water service, because we're trying to provide that service to the residents. But since Lufthansa doesn't need that service, we wouldn't work with them to sign up for it.
okay.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye.
Councilmember Lord.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Antoniak.
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Okay, we'll now move to vote to adopt an annexation ordinance for approximately 1,020 acres, and I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance, please.
Adopt Ordinance 08-1138, extending and increasing the corporate limits of the City of Goodyear, Maricopa County, Arizona, pursuant to the provisions of Title IX, Chapter 4, Article 7, Arizona Revised Statutes, and amendments thereto, by annexing 1,020 acres of land generally located between Alabaster Road and Algonquin Road, and between the 91st Avenue alignment and 107th Avenue alignment in Maricopa County, and providing city zoning designation of agricultural.
Okay, thank you. Could I have a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor, move that the City Council adopt ordinance 08-1138 as read by the city clerk.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Cavalier and a second from Vice Mayor Antoniak. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Lord.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye. Oh, sorry.
Vice Mayor Antoniak.
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Okay, thank you. We'll now vote to adopt an ordinance to rezone approximately 433 acres, and I'll ask the clerk to read that ordinance, please.
Adopt ordinance 08-1139, providing for conditional rezoning of 433 acres of land from the agricultural zoning district to the light industrial zoning district for the Lufthansa Air Training Facility generally located at the 99th Avenue and Algonquin Road alignments, adopting supplementary zoning map 08-007 to provide for the change in zoning, providing separability, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve that ordinance, please?
Move we adopt ordinance 08-1139 as read by the city clerk.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Lord and a second from Vice Mayor Antoniak. Will open the discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Antoniak?
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier?
Aye.
Councilmember Lord?
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh?
Aye.
Passed 6-0.
Okay, we'll now vote on a special use application to allow an air training facility, and I'll ask for a motion to approve that, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve a special use application to allow an air training facility in the light industrial I-1 zoning district.
Second.
Motion from Vice Mayor Antoniak and a second from Councilmember Holland. It's open for discussion.
Just got one quick question on this one, Mayor.
Yes.
I assume the FAA process would apply as well if you're going to add a second runway in the vicinity of that. Okay. So Luke Air Force Base would also have their opportunity through the FAA process for comment, not only that plus ours.
Yes.
Okay.
That doesn't have anything to do with this, though, does it?
Yeah, it's especially, well, it's to allow the air training facility, but there was the discussion about Luke Air Force Base's concern. I just wanted to, I was curious.
That's a good
If
question.
there's a second runway, if it has to go through FAA, I would assume so.
Further discussion on this one? Just a comment, I think on behalf of all council members and the staff, it's a joy having Lufthansa and ATCA and German Air Force in the city of Goodyear, and
Yes, it is.
we hope that relationship continues for several more decades, okay? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve the special use permit signify by stating aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next two items are related to recommendations from the Elected Officials Compensation and Retirement Benefits Advisory Committee. Jeannie Rudy will present both items, which include two ordinances and one resolution. And then council will take action on each item separately. And again, this is one in which Jeannie will speak on both, and then the public will comment on both. Is that correct?
I will be introducing it and
Oh,
then turning
okay.
it over to the committee chair.
Okay, and then the public will have an opportunity to speak on both of them at one time. Is that right?
Yes.
And then we'll move to council and take each separately, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, Jeannie, you're up.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh, Vice Mayor Antoniak, and council members. In April of this year, Waters Consulting Group came and made a presentation to council on the results of the salary and benefit survey that was conducted. In that summary, they gave a list of enhancements for consideration. On that list was further consideration of council salaries and retirement benefits based on the results. In addition, in 2006, a citizens committee was formed that reviewed council salary and benefits. Part of the recommendations in 2006 were to increase council salaries and enhance the benefit package, and also to ask council to form a committee every 2 years to review council salary and benefits. So based on Waters Consulting Group's recommendation and also the Citizens Committee's recommendations in 2006, a committee was formed in August of this year and met on September 4th of 2008. Vice Chair Gwen LaMarche is here to introduce the committee and present the recommendations of the committee. On behalf of the city, I would like to thank the committee for their dedication to our community. Taking the time to volunteer on any committee is a gift back to our community. Their time, energy, and ideas are part of what makes this such a great city in which we live. So now I'd like to turn the time over to Gwen LaMarche to present the recommendations of the committee and introduce the committee. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor Antoniak, council members. As Jeannie said, I'll start off by introducing the committee members. Some of the committee members are here let's see, Scott Hoppe. Would you please stand? Heather O'Neill. Jerry Wilson. Thank you. The other members who would like to have been here tonight but had other obligations include Joanna Johansson, Michael Sullivan, Patricia Willoughby, and our committee chairperson, who was Tree Tren. Unfortunately, or fortunately, he was called to military duty, so he is doing something good for us as we stand here tonight. As Jeannie said, the mayor's charge to this committee was to provide a fair, reasonable, and equitable process for reviewing Goodyear's elected officials' salaries and benefits package. And we wanted to discuss how the citizens of Goodyear can enhance the desirability and increase citizen interest in serving in an elected official capacity. The committee met on September 4th, 2008 to discuss the salaries and the benefits. All of the committee members were present. They all participated. And first and foremost, all of the committee members were actively involved. And the committee members believe that the city of Goodyear is and will continue to grow in the years to come, and that the future of Goodyear is exhilarating. And as many of you are aware, we have the spring training facilities and the malls and some of the other things that you've heard presented or that you've read about. So change is inevitable for Goodyear, which is the fifth largest city in the Phoenix metro area, and we are the pace setters for the West Valley. So we wanted to first of all thank the mayor for giving us an opportunity as citizens of Goodyear to actually participate in this discussion of salaries and the benefits. Because Goodyear is growing and because we know that all of the council members put a lot of effort into nurturing this city, it's for this reason that the compensation committee is making the following recommendations. Recommendation 1, which was unanimously approved by the committee 9-0, was to increase the mayor, vice mayor, and council member salaries as follows. Mayor.
PowerPoint on this, or?
Hold on, I can put that up there. It may be difficult to see, so I'll use the one that I did. And if we increase that or not. But currently, the mayor's salary is $23,000 a year. We're recommending that that be
21, really. That's what I make.
21 is what you make.
You didn't get the raise last
You didn't get the raise last time. Yeah, that's right.
I understand.
It's all about performance, Gwen, and
it's all-
I didn't get it.
Okay. Well, what we're recommending that it be increased to $36,300 a year. Vice mayor, currently annual salary is $12,500. We're recommending that it be increased $22,390 annually. Council members currently annual salary is $9,200. We're recommending that it be increased to $21,400. We came up with these recommendations based on the salary studies that was done, and what we did is there were some benchmark cities that were used. to see, but I will read that for you. What we did, the consultant looked at benchmark cities, including the city of Glendale, city of Tempe, city of Scottsdale, Surprise, cities of Peoria, Chandler, as well as the city of Avondale, and looked at the current salaries for the council members. The average salary, not including the city of Goodyear, the average salary for those cities is $33,000 annually. That was for the mayor. For the vice mayor, looking at the same cities, the average without Goodyear was $20,354, and the average salary annually for the council members was $19,540. After the much discussion by the committee, again, it was agreed unanimously that we should bring our council members' salaries to that average plus 10%. So the salaries that I just read would be a 110% increase. The second recommendation was regarding the retirement plan. All of those cities, yes, all of those cities actually offer a retirement plan for their elected officials. And the committee, our committee, voted 6-3 to recommend that the city council members be given a retirement plan. They would be included in the elected officials' retirement plan. So that was passed with a 6-3 vote. Jeannie just corrected me. There was one city, the town of Buckeye, is the only one that did not offer a retirement plan. So I apologize for that. Again, we looked at all of the benchmark cities and looked at the average, and we felt that, again, because the city of Goodyear is growing and these salaries are based on part-time hours, although we recognize that our council members put in a lot more than part-time hours. But we felt that the city council members' salaries should be brought up to at least the average and then an additional 10% in order to bring their salaries more in line with what the other cities are actually offering, as well as the retirement benefit package. The other recommendation that was passed unanimously, 9-0, was, again, recognizing, although this is beyond the scope of the committee, we felt that we would like to see the charter changed to include this committee be put together every 2 years so that salaries can be reviewed, because, again, they're not brought up in line with all of the cities, but we're trying to get there, and we believe that to look at these salaries in another couple of years would be advantageous to the city and the council members. So we would like to see that change in the charter.
We aren't voting on that tonight, though, are we? No.
I don't think that that's on the agenda for a vote, but I just wanted to mention that we would like to see that happen. We think it's important. As far as the implementation, the compensation, the proposed increases, if they're approved by the council, would go into effect for the terms beginning June of 2009. As far as the retirement, the mayor and council members must, if that is approved, my understanding is they must start participating in January of 2009, and that is mandatory participate. Is that correct? Or okay, yeah, I did see something about a waiver, but that would have to be approved. So that's basically the recommendations of the committee, the implementation schedule.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Why don't you clarify the thing about the waiver for elected officials' retirement?
If she's going to do that, could I ask one other thing to be clarified?
Yes.
Can I ask this as long as you're going to clarify something? A scenario, if a former city employee is collecting the Arizona retirement, okay, and decides to run for office and wins, what does that put him, what position does he or she been put in as far as their, because it says mandatory?
They would, if I understand this correctly, and of course it's different for each person, but you're saying that a council member, an employee is...
Person isn't not on the council at this time. And we're just assuming we pass. We're just assuming passing of this.
And the
Not on
person is
council.
already retired and they're receiving Arizona State
That's
Retirement
right.
System benefits, they would be under the elected officials. If the person wasn't retired, they could transfer their time over. But if they're already in it, they're two separate plans. They would still be able to continue to collect their Arizona State Retirement System benefits.
It's not under ASRS then?
No, it's under public, it's an umbrella under public safety retirement.
Thank you.
Okay, if you respond to the waiver issue, and then I'm going to open it to the public, okay? And then we'll go to council. Okay.
Because the plan is being implemented at this time, that it may negatively affect someone financially based on retirement benefits that they have, at the time that the plan is being implemented, each council member that's currently on council would have the opportunity to complete a waiver, and that waiver, depending on how you complete that, the fund manager would have the opportunity to approve the council member of being waived from the plan as long as they're an elected official with the city. But you could complete it, and the fund manager would not see that it was something that he should approve, and you would have to participate. So it has to fall under certain guidelines under the statute that the fund manager could waive your participation.
Okay, thank you. Let me ask a question on that.
Yeah, just to clarify. So if you thought you were going to be negatively impacted, you would put in this waiver if you were in this position. But it's up to the fund manager's decision-making process as to whether or not you're negatively impacted.
Correct.
And they decide whether or not to waive your...
Yes.
Okay.
And then once the plan is implemented, all future council members would be required to
Right.
participate. They couldn't waive out.
Well, that's the question I asked.
Right. So the person who is coming in, they would have to contribute, but they would now be starting a second retirement plan.
And they wouldn't have anything to do with their present, that they've done? They wouldn't, no repercussions from that? No, nothing.
They would still.
Okay.
Separate program.
Okay, again, this is two ordinances and one resolution, 3 votes, 2 separate subjects, however. Any comments from the public on either of the 2 subjects? Okay, now, council, how would you like to do this? We could take the compensation first, and then vote on it, and then do the retirement, or we can open for discussion and see where we feel.
I'd like to suggest we open it for discussion.
Because you could be for both, you could be against both, you could be for one or the
You
other.
could postpone, or you could, I mean, there's lots of elements in it.
Postponing the retirement is that an option?
Postponing the retirement could always be an option. We would just, whenever you wanted us to bring it back, we could get an actuarial evaluation again and bring it back to council at a future date. At this point, the actuarial evaluation that you had in your packet, the cost is for an implementation date of January 1 of 2009.
Okay. All right, do you agree then that we'll do both subjects at one time to discuss them, or you want?
Yeah, let's discuss.
Okay, Vice Mayor, you had...
Just question maybe for the committee and follow-up for Rourke. Did you all discuss sending this to the voters during a ballot proposition or in a ballot question during your committee process at all? You did not? Okay. And would we have that option?
Yes, you do
would?
have that option.
So we would have the option of sending this to the voters for the voters to determine whether or not raises
Under our
should be
charter,
paid.
yes, under our charter, Mr. Mayor, members of council, yes, you do have the option of referring matters to the vote.
And would that timing be allowed to be the same such that, next election essentially is March and May?
Well, what would happen on this is, under our current charter, you have to pass an ordinance at least 120 days prior to the seating of a new council. So, obviously, if you refer to the voters, at this point, we're not going to make the November ballot. So we'd probably have to put it on the ballot the next election cycle, which would be March. that would make 120 days prior to the seating of a new council. So the first it would be available, should it pass, would be 2011 for that council that was seated.
So you couldn't, there's no language that you could put on the ballot for March that would make it effective in June?
Only if we amended the charter. So
Which you're not going to do because that's an election process as well.
That's an election process.
Okay. Sorry, I had to go through law school there in about 30 seconds, but, okay.
Okay. Councilmember Lord.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the committee, because committees take a lot of time and effort away from your other activities, and I really appreciate it. I'll tell you what, this is a hard one. It truly is. If I had my husband next to me, he'd say, you better vote for that. And he's become the housewife and the cook and all those other things that he never had to do our 45 years of marriage. So on that side, that's where he's coming from. On my side, do we deserve it? Absolutely. Do we work hard? Absolutely. The hours we spend, I think the hours the mayor spends, it's just incredible. But in my heart of heart, in the pit of my stomach, can I do this at the economic downturn that we're on right now? At the sacrifice of many of our employees who are not going to get the raise? I have a hard time with it. So there's my struggles. I'm happy to hear from the other council members, but morally, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And that's why I was so pro to ask you about a postponement, because we don't know what the economic times of next year. Nobody has a crystal ball. Everybody tells us it's 2012. But who knows that? So we'll just have to wait and see. So that's my position, and I'm anxious to hear from the rest of you.
Okay. Councilmember Holland?
Well, I think Councilmember Lord has a good point, and that is something that we should be very aware of. And we do appreciate the fact that our citizens believe that we work hard. We hope all of them understand what we do when we take on a job like this. We want to encourage the citizens to take on a job like this. And, of course, more money would encourage them to do that. So it's kind of like you're caught. You want to do the right thing, but you want to also encourage people to run for office. And they don't want to run for the amount of money that we have on the books for now. So I guess I would have to say it would depend on our reasoning for wanting to give an increase in wages. And if it's just not a good time.
Councilmember Osborne?
Well, my fellow ladies have stated it very well. As a business person, I can tell you that what I was not aware of the timing that this job does take, is that there's actually two positions at my store that I had to make full-time from part-time because I need flexibility to leave. We do many things, mayor, council, regionally, that helps trickle down to the benefits of our city. In my heart, I want our citizens, the other moms and dads that could take that little bit more of money to be able to give back to their city, but they can't do it at this rate. So I'm torn, just as you are. I also believe that the council, the mayor, kind of are the head coaches of the city, and the employees are the players, and they've all taken their hits of having to not take pay raises. And so I feel like, they want to work harder for their team because they have coaches that are with them. And so I can't do that for that reason also. So I am torn. I truly believe that the postponement of maybe waiting through another year of I thank you. I thank you for recognizing that it is a lot of work, and recognizing that truly putting it up on the screen and showing rest of the municipalities and the citizens that, hey, we're the bottom. but yet we're the All-American City. And so, that's wonderful. But right now is not the time. It isn't. And as for the retirement, I don't think it's the time for that either. And I would much rather see the $71,000 that it would take to, I don't know, go to a SRO program or a landscaping program. There's a lot of other things I could think of for that kind of money. So that's where I'm sitting right now.
Councilmember Lord, are your comments related to retirement also?
Both of them, because it's initial outlay of
And I'm
cash.
sorry, that was okay, right? Because we said
Yes.
we were talking about it.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't mention
You just
that.
clarified it.
Okay.
Councilmember Holland?
Same here.
Okay, two more over here. Any comments?
Well, only that we do work for 5 cents an hour. That's about what it amounts to. And even if with the raise you're not up to even close to even half-time work probably. But again, it's neither here nor there. This is a bad time, no doubt about it. But we did authorize this committee to work on this, and they put in a lot of time on this. And maybe we could meet at a happy medium and not be quite as striking a percentage of increase, and so that it doesn't appear quite as difficult to swallow, because we're getting, what, a 10%? Well, it's more than that. I don't know what the percentage is. I haven't figured that out, but it's quite an increase, plus than the 10% on top of that. But to bring it up to the average of what the other cities do. But on the other side of it, it's an embarrassment to talk to the other city council members, and they say, "This is all you get? Your salary is that low?" And I thought Goodyear was a quality city.
It's because we're all heart, Frank.
Yeah, I know. Well, all heart, and it doesn't matter. That's again, I'm torn between the two, so it's very difficult.
Okay, Vice Mayor.
I think everybody kind of figured by my line of questioning, I was torn by the decision. I don't know that this is, I do appreciate, y'all have put in a lot of time discussing this. I know you obviously had a healthy debate because you had a 6-3 vote on the retirement issue. I said it when we had this discussion. I think we had the retirement discussion about 4 or 5 months into my first term here, and I said it then that I didn't get into it for the retirement. I didn't get into this. I got into this for the intrinsic value of serving my fellow neighbor and community. As pandering as that statement sounds, it was the truth, and still remains to be the truth with me. And I have a hard time or discussing an increase. While I do recognize, and probably had I sat at the table with you all, I would echo Councilman Cavalier's statements and my fellow council member statements thus far, that a nickel an hour or a dime an hour or a quarter an hour, whatever it might equate to throughout the week or months, it's really not it's not commensurate for somebody that's commuting downtown or has a healthy private practice in the community, through their store, through their own professional realm. There's no doubt that this job comes with a great amount of sacrifice in terms of your own private capabilities, whether in the workplace or owning your own business. But at this time, I think I've got to share in everybody else's pain and not necessarily go with this. I don't know that the process would be to vote this up or down this evening, or if we would just table the items for future discussion. I personally, when these come to us, I like to look back to the voters and say, well, hey, do we deserve it or not? And let them decide. Obviously, there's some timing questions with that potentially for the next group of folks that come on board, but I would be inclined, if the choice were in front of us this evening to send this to the voters, I might say send it to the voters with a little bit more conservative figure, maybe not the figure that was presented to us this evening, but given what we've got in front of us this evening, I'm inclined to pass on it and table it to a future meeting, and/or if there's a motion on the table, vote it down.
Shall we vote these, or shall we table them? What's your recommendation, legal perspective?
You can make a motion to postpone all three to a future date. I think someone said they wanted check back in a year, maybe you could postpone for a year and bring them back for further
See what
consideration.
the economic times are doing.
Or whatever date in the future the council might want to do.
All right, and how do you feel about that?
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, who would like to make that motion?
I move that we postpone this a year from now and bring it back to the council and reconsideration.
Okay,
Does that work?
Second that.
is that all right?
That would work, all three motions?
Yes.
All three others.
And I was kind of with you. I want to make 7,200. I don't make that 9,200.
Yeah. So I have a motion from Councilmember Hall and a second from Vice Mayor Antoniak.
Councilmember Lord.
Lord, the other blonde.
Oh. Motion from Councilmember Lord and a second from Councilmember Hall, Vice Mayor.
Wow.
Antoniak. Okay, is that right? Did I get that right? And that's to postpone all three. This is going down, not at all because of what you all did. You were brilliant. We thank you very much. I almost apologize for what you had to go through, but I'm sorry. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye for postponement.
Vice Mayor Antoniak.
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye.
Councilmember Lord.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll now move to information items, comments, reports on current events by council members. Councilmember Lord.
Well, I attended a citizens' water meeting because I just wanted to see how the citizens would respond. And I must tell you that Sandra Rode does an excellent job. She has a certain charm and is able to make people feel like they can ask any question that they want to ask during the process. And I was really impressed by it.
Very charismatic.
Yes, yes. And Joanne and I attended the Arizona Town Hall meeting, and the governor spoke, and they had another guest speaker, which I couldn't remember what his name, but it was a very nice one. The other thing I did this week, in coordination with GPEC again, if you remember, I toured the biodesign building at ASU. Well, this time, in coordinating with that, we toured a Sky Song. And you always hear this, TGen, Sky Song, and biodesign. They all work in concert with each other. And that's a very innovative technology, imagination. And I also attended a reception. And there's a lot of incubator companies within this building. And they're not only from the United States, they're from all over the world. And it's quite exciting to see all the things that's going on at that building. So if you ever get a chance, council, I'd recommend that highlight. The other thing I attended was Thursday was the Fiesta Patria celebration at the Festival Fields, and I think I was the only one there from Goodyear, but it was a great breakfast. They introduced the princesses and the entertainment, and it was kind of the kickoff for their 3-day celebration, and I enjoyed it. The other thing is I've been attending the Purple Ribbon Pilot Project, and I don't know if you know this, but it's an abuse. It's on, domestic violence. And it's a pilot program, and we're meeting, I believe it's 4 meetings, and out of this we're trying to come up with some different ideas about how we can approach this, approach it to the public, on television, whatever it takes, because right now the program's not getting the attention of the citizens throughout the United States. And this is the pilot program for Arizona. And this is taking place all over the state, and hopefully these ideas from this pilot program will come to the council, the Purple Ribbon Council, and out of that there'll be some programs. And we do hope in Goodyear that out of this we will have a pilot program that we can put into effect. That's it.
A couple things. I attended a board retreat for the YMCA this weekend, one of our city partners, and just thought I'd let you all know, in case you hadn't heard, that Margaret Wood is the YMCA's Family of the Year recipient this coming October, so I was glad to hear that. And I also wanted everybody to know that today is actually the Family Dinner Day, or something they call it like that. And I'm really hoping that this time next year we will have made our proclamation that we all agree that there needs to be family dinner day. And my family had family breakfast this morning. And I'm not a morning person, and so you don't know what it took for me to be getting up to make breakfast. So it was very good, and I can tell you that those are the good things families do together. Thank you.
Further comments? Okay, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. First, I'd like Romina to make a brief report on the 2008 legislative wrap-up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's supposed to come up on your screen. I'm just going to quickly go through, John asked me to just quickly go through my legislative wrap-up report, which I wrote for you this week, or last week. You should have gotten it in your boxes as well as through email. This is kind of the opportunity to just point out some highlights, and then if you have any questions, if you've had a chance to read it, to ask me, or if there's any clarifications that you may need. First off, the general effective date for the bills is this Friday, September the 26th, which means most bills are going to be taking in effect on Friday, except for the ones that are already in effect, which are most appropriations bills take in effect immediately. In the ones that I'm going to highlight is the sign walkers bill. I know we kind of talked about that throughout the session, and just quickly, the bill that was passed, it requires municipalities to allow the posting, display, and use of sign walkers from and after December 31st. However, it does specify that municipalities may adopt reasonable time, place, and manner regulations. So those are still up to us, and I think that Goodyear already does do that. So I don't foresee any changes in our sign walker. The county graffiti abatement, which is the second one, it allows the courts to order a juvenile parent or guardian to help the juvenile perform community restitution if the juvenile is guilty of the second graffiti offense. And that was mostly a City of Phoenix push that we all helped with. So I thought you guys would be interested in that. That kind of came through last minute and got done since we've been talking a lot about graffiti lately. The third piece is the Citizens Campaign Finance website. This is new as well. It requires the Secretary of State, counties with a population of greater than 100,000, and municipalities with a population greater than 2,500 that operate websites, so we fall under that, to post campaign finance information on their website in a format that is viewable by the public. So this is something that's new. This is something the state, when you run state campaigns, if you're running for Attorney General or Governor, this is something that you have to do. And they just felt that this is something that the public should get at every level. So the counties and the cities are also going to be required to do that. And it's for over $500. So if you're spending less than $500 in some cities, that's really all you need because it's so small. You don't have to post anything. You just say it's less than $500. But if you're spending over $500, that's going to be posted for the public to view.
Joanne asked a question. The city posts that?
Yes.
Not the candidate?
No, the city on the city's website posts that.
So anybody else had that same question?
Yeah, and that's pretty consistent. The state, when you turn in your finance forms at the state, it posts it immediately for state electeds that are running for statewide office.
I was just giving her a new website.
Yeah.
Go Gigi Girl.
No, that's the city does that.
So did they, with that legislation, pass assistance from the Secretary of State's office for the electronic version?
Yes, there's actually, I think that what they're going to do, from what I understand, is so that everybody's pretty consistent. There's going to be a program, or there's going to be some sort of training. I think that the league is going to be working on something so that our clerks have that. We're up to date on how to do that. I haven't gotten any word as to when that will be. I can definitely check on that. And the clerks will probably get a notice at some point. But they're hoping it'll be pretty consistent with the state website because I think it's easy to use, so how they do it over there. And then the next one is the GPLET, which is the Government Property Lease Excise Tax. We've talked about that all through session. No legislation was passed that relates to the GPLET this year. So we were, very, very fortunate in that. I do foresee that that's going to come up in the next year. So we're going to be working closely again with the legislature to make sure that any reform that does happen happens responsibly and doesn't completely hurt that program. Impact fees, we talked about that a whole lot. The governor vetoed that. So definitely foresee that coming in the next session. Have no idea at this point. We haven't heard if the home builders are going to come back with something different or start where we left off in negotiations. I'm just not sure, but I'm sure that's something that we will have to revisit. And then the budget, which is something that I don't know. I've been trying to give you updates, but so much has been changing as we've been reading more and more into the budget bills. So While shared revenues, as you know, were not tapped directly, buried within the budget was the language requiring cities to remit $17 million to the state from our general fund to their general fund. And this is something that's never happened before, and this unprecedented approach, it may be a violation of the Arizona Constitution, which is a result of the Prop 108, which says you have to have a 2/3 majority in order to, in both legislative changes, to increase revenues, and that we fall under that. Our state share revenues fall under that protection. So staff is collaborating with the other municipalities as well as the league to find out where we legally stand on that issue. We haven't had any formal decision yet. I know that the league executive committee is working with the team, the legal team that they've hired, and are working with the governor's office in negotiations on how to handle that. The second piece of it is the DPS crime lab fees, and that's in the budget. There's actually a one-page that it's enabling legislation to allow different departments to raise fees in order to supplement for their budget shortfall. So DPS had $7 million cut from their budget. And what the enabling legislation pretty much said is you can raise fees to fill that $7 million. Somewhere in there from raise fees meant charge cities for crime lab services. So we're trying to figure out how that also could be, that's very detrimental. That's a $500,000 a hit to Goodyear alone, if that does play out. So we are working with DPS literally weekly for updates to find out. They have just recently been approved for a grant to cover, I think, all but 2.5 million of those fees, but 2.5 million is still expected. Some of our cities have already received a bill from DPS. The league just sent out an email today actually saying we are still in negotiations with DPS. Do not pay those fees until we know what's going on. So that's where we stand at that point. And then just a list quickly of the fund sweeps that were swept that affect cities: $84 million from the Highway User Revenue Fund, $18.3 million from the State Aviation Fund, $6.3 million from State Lakes Improvement Fund, $8.2 from Housing Trust Fund, $2 million from the Water Quality Assurance Revolving Fund, and $4 million from the Greater Arizona Development Authority. So those are the things that all affected cities that came out of the budget bills as we started to read them in more detail. And if you have any questions, just let me know.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Romina.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I have three brief reports. One is on they're all on the yellow papers that were included this week. One is on the Housing and Economic Recovery Act of 2008. As you know, on July 31st, 2008, the President signed into law House Resolution 3221, which is known as the Housing and Recovery Act of 2008, also known as the Housing and Economic Recovery Act of 2008. Nothing is needed from the City Council at this time or from the City of Goodyear. We are continuing, however, at the staff level to collect data and provide it to Maricopa County, and are awaiting HUD's release of the final information and program guidelines and rules. There are issues, however, that we need to look at right now. And these issues are, would we be prepared to acquire and hold properties for a period of time? If we decided to acquire properties, how would we pay for the holding cost? That is the utilities, insurance, HOA maintenance, etc. Would we want to rent these properties or simply flip them quickly to low and moderate income individuals? And finally, would we target a specific neighborhood or neighborhoods, or would we consider a more scattered approach throughout the community? We're in the process of setting up some community forums to address these questions and other issues that may come up. And as this information is gathered, we will be presenting a report to the City Council and the Mayor and have a future City Council work session on that. So that's what we're doing with regards to the Housing and Economic Recovery Act. Any questions about that? The next thing is the pending committees and commissions update. As you know, there are 4 pending commissions and committees: the Arizona Centennial Committee for Goodyear, the Goodyear Higher Education Advisory Committee, a Sister City Commission, and the Youth Commission. Where the Arizona Centennial Committee is, in this evening's general support of at least the direction that the staff is heading with the railroad depot, is a good time to start this committee. We have been recruiting for the committee, the centennial is on February 14th, 2012. The state has asked each city to form its own committee to identify and develop legacy projects to celebrate the centennial. We are forming a 19-member centennial committee, and it is charged with developing legacy projects that will be undertaken on behalf of the celebration for February 14th, 2012. Final approval of the legacy projects will be by a majority vote of the mayor and the city council. Recruitment for the Centennial Committee has been going on for some time and will continue for a little bit longer. It will be advertised on September 22nd and October 15th in the issues of In Focus and in newspaper ads in early October. Applications are also available online. The 19 members will be chosen to represent a wide cross-section of residents from Goodyear at both a demographic and a geographic perspective. The deadline for applying is October 24th, and members will be selected by a small internal committee with council voting on the recommended members at a December council meeting. The terms will be early January 2009, immediately after the holidays, and all members will remain on the committee for 3 years and will last until February 14th, 2012. Should any legacy projects not be completed by that time, the committee's time frame may be extended by the council. The Goodyear Higher Education Advisory Committee is a 15-member committee that's supporting and promoting the city's higher education recruitment initiative with Franklin Pierce University, the University of the Incarnate Word, and the University of St. Francis. This recruitment has been ongoing also. However, both Franklin Pierce University and the University of Incarnate Word have requested that it not move forward at this time. Their feeling is that the individual concepts and the physical campuses need to be put into place a little further than they are right now, and this will allow them to establish a greater presence in the West Valley before the committee is formed. There are only 2 proposed positions for Goodyear residents on this committee. The remaining 13 positions are representing the universities, higher education, business, and other governmental related interests to be determined at the time the committee is formed. So that is the status of that committee. The universities have asked that we not move forward with that, and we concur with that recommendation from the universities. The final commission that we're working on is the Sister City Commission, and this is a 15-member commission which is primarily focusing on encouraging cross-cultural interaction and fostering global economic development. The commission shall serve as a forum for policy discussions about, 1, developing candidates for a sister city that would be a good match for the interests of Goodyear, and 2, developing an event to provide cultural enrichment to the lives of the citizens. That recruitment has also been taking place, but we believe that it should not be appointed or move forward at this time. My experience with sister cities is that they're extremely staff intensive, not only at the beginning, but also throughout the life of the sister city relationship. I've had 5 different sister cities over the period of my career, and I just think that it would be better to devote our staff resources to other issues rather than sister cities right now. On the Youth Commission, this is to give students the opportunity to learn more about local government and advise the City Council and staff on youth-related issues as determined by the Commission. The recruitment on this commission has been ongoing with very little success. However, we have now gone into the schools, and we are advertising on September 22nd and October 15th issue of the In Focus, and in newspaper ads and school newspapers in September and October. In addition, each school is being requested to make announcements during the school day regarding the commission. The application deadline has been extended till October 25th, and we believe that this time we will be successful by working with the local schools. One student from each of the following 5 high schools, plus 4 students at large, will be selected for the commission: Agua Fria, Desert Edge, Estrella Foothills, Millennium, and Dorado. Alternates will also be selected for the members to take the place of the students if they cannot be present or if they need to leave their position before the end of their term. Recreation staff will be facilitating the meetings and serve as liaisons, and the first commission meeting is being scheduled for January 14th. That is the status of the 4 commissions and committees that we have been working on. If there are any questions about any of them, I'd be happy to answer them now. Otherwise, as I mentioned, we are proceeding to recruit for and will be appointing the Arizona Centennial Committee for Goodyear. We are deferring the Goodyear Higher Education Advisory Committee. We are deferring the Sister City Commission, and we are moving forward with the Youth Commission.
And just substantiate, council does not sit on any of those, is that correct?
It's our recommendation that the council does not sit on any of them, except we do believe that the council can be a member of the Arizona Centennial Committee, because that's more like a task force. It's short-term, and it will be something that would benefit from a council member's presence. Otherwise, we did a survey, and we attached that to the report. What do other cities do? And other cities do not have council members sitting on them. My experience has also been that we do not have council members on them, because if a mayor and a council member are present at a commission, the commission immediately defers to the mayor and the council member. And you don't really have good citizen discussion. So.
Great observation.
The next item is the tourism report that we passed out. The Chamber of Commerce is the city's official tourism center. The Chamber of Commerce operates the official tourism center. They are contractually obligated to the city, and staff efforts to address tourism through the city is through its website and its economic development website. Our chamber is an official tourism information center, certified by the state of Arizona. As such, all chamber employees are certified tourism ambassadors, and the chamber is audited annually by the state. This last audit was conducted in June of 2008, and the chamber received a 100% passing grade from the state. So they do a great job. Some of the things that the chamber does, we provide $18,065 to the Chamber of Commerce this past year, or this current year. And some of the things that they do for us in exchange for that money is operate an information and business resource center at the chamber, respond to all public requests from local residents, winter visitors, tourists, and new and existing businesses for Goodyear information, keep a record of requests from local residents, transients, and visitors, develop and distribute a Southwest regional map. 10,000 are printed annually and are provided to the libraries, schools, and to the city for distribution. Providing updated city demographic data on the chamber website annually. Maintaining the visitor information center to qualify for highway signage. And the chamber will report to the Goodyear city manager on all activities in progress under this agreement and account to the city for the expenditures that they make from their $18,000 payment that the city makes on a quarterly basis. And finally, the chamber shall present to the city council a report on activities in progress under this agreement as requested. In addition to this with the chamber, the city staff has been working in the area of tourism since 2002. We advertise on the official West Valley Tourism magazine, Arizona Avenues. Each year we place a $6,000 full-page ad and a full-page editorial. We get $2,500, we give 2,500 copies are distributed of this magazine through the chamber and our city hall lobby. Copies are in every convention and visitors bureau throughout the state of Arizona. Communications are also paid to be in the Valley publication Bib As, in which we publicize baseball for local tourism. And we also have an advertisement in the Cactus League issue of the U.S. Airways magazine from last year. Communication staff is currently working with Cleveland radio stations and magazine publishers in Ohio to do partnership advertising. Communications and stadium staff are currently developing an overall tourism marketing strategy for the ballpark in both Ohio and Arizona. Economic Development also has a separate web page, which we are now incorporating into the city's web page. So there will be one web page, but this site also not only is used for recruiting economic interests to the community, but also in selling tourism to the community. The recommendations of the city staff at this time both are short-term and long-term. Short-term, we believe that the Chamber of Commerce should continue to operate the contractual basis that they have in serving the tourism industry for us. Secondly, that we distribute city information into certified racks in hotel lobbies throughout the valley. Third, we develop a city tourism brochure in concert with the Chamber of Commerce. Fourth, we provide training for the Chamber staff as personnel changes occur and keep them updated on city efforts. Fifth, we audit Chamber tourism efforts quarterly to ensure compliance with our contract. And sixth, we consider enhancing the Chamber contract to coincide with the completion of the spring training facility and possibly year-round tournaments that we are now pushing. In the long term, we believe that the future will lead us to having a staff in-house to address tourism, and we are working our way towards addressing that in the future budget as it is possible. That's what we're doing in the area of tourism, Mr. Mayor. Are there any questions or comments about that?
Questions, comments?
I would say that was pretty complete.
It was pretty thorough.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
The last thing I'd like to mention is the follow-ups that I received from tonight's council meeting. We are doing a report on the phone charges, the telecom charges. How much do we spend in a year on those different charges for cell phones and things? Secondly, I will be working with Mr. Charter regarding the recycling bins for clothing and things like that. Thirdly is we will follow up in a year on the reconsideration of the council salary and retirement package. And we will take a look at what else there may be in relation to that in the short term so that next year you would have a complete package to take a look at, whether that's a charter amendment or what. Fourth, we will look at, Joanne, the family dinner day so you don't have to get up so early next year. And we will take a look at that and see what we can do for that. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Inquiries of staff? Meeting's adjourned.
I am in tomorrow.